London. Today, it is one of the most powerful and famous cities in the world, a place filled with history, culture, and millions of people moving through its streets every single day. From above, the city looks calm and beautiful. The River Thames flows slowly through its heart. Bridges connect both sides of the city, and modern skyscrapers rise above centuries of history. But beneath this modern skyline, there is a darker story, a story filled with war, disease, and crime and survival. To understand London, we must travel nearly 2,000 years into the past, back to a time when this great city did not yet exist. In the year 43 AD, the Roman Empire arrived in Britain. Roman soldiers marched across the land, and along the banks of the River Thames, they built a small settlement. They called it Londinium. At first, it was only a simple trading town. Wooden houses stood beside muddy streets. Merchants arrived with goods from distant parts of the Roman Empire. Ships carrying supplies and food docked along the river. Slowly, Londinium began to grow. Markets became crowded with traders and citizens. Roman soldiers protected the settlement, and the town slowly transformed into an important center of trade. But life in ancient cities was never peaceful. Crime existed. Even in those early days, prisoners were captured and placed inside dark stone cells. Punishments were harsh, and justice was often brutal. As the centuries passed, the Roman Empire eventually left Britain, yet the settlement survived. Over time, Londinium slowly evolved into medieval London. Stone buildings replaced wooden houses. Narrow streets twisted through the growing city. Markets, churches, and homes filled every available space. Towering above the city stood one of the most famous buildings in English history, the Tower of London. For centuries, this fortress served as a royal palace, a military stronghold, and a prison. Many prisoners were locked inside its cold stone walls. Some were powerful political enemies. Others were accused of treason. Many entered the Tower of London, but never left. During medieval times, punishment was often public. Executions were not hidden from society. Instead, they became public events. Crowds gathered in large numbers to watch criminals face their fate. One of the most infamous execution sites was Tyburn. Thousands of people would gather there to watch public hangings. Vendors sold food and drinks. Crowds talked and laughed, while condemned prisoners were brought forward to meet their end. To modern audiences, it seems disturbing, but for people living at that time, it was considered normal. Yet London's darkest days were still ahead. In the year 1605, a deadly disaster began spreading through the crowded streets, a disease known as the Great Plague of London. At first, only a few people became sick, but the infection spread quickly through the city. Within months, thousands were dying. Homes containing infected families were marked with red crosses on their doors. Beneath the mark were the chilling words, "Lord, have mercy upon us." Entire neighborhoods fell silent. People were afraid to leave their homes. Plague doctors walked through the streets wearing strange masks with long beaks. Carts moved slowly through the city collecting the dead. Church bells rang constantly. By the time the plague ended, tens of thousands of people had died. The city was devastated, but tragedy would strike again. Only 1 year later, in 1666, a small fire began inside a bakery on a narrow street called Pudding Lane. At first, the fire seemed small, but strong winds carried the flames from one wooden house to another. Soon the fire spread out of control. The tightly packed buildings allowed the flames to move quickly across the city. Within hours, entire streets were burning. Families ran through the streets carrying whatever belonging they could save. Smoke filled the sky above London. For several days, the fire continued to burn. This disaster became known as the Great Fire of London. By the time it finally stopped, most of the medieval city had been destroyed. But London would rebuild itself. New buildings replaced the old wooden structures. Streets were redesigned, and the city slowly recovered. As the centuries passed, London grew larger and more crowded than ever before. By the 18th century, it had become one of the biggest cities in the world. Yet, with growth came new problems. Crime increased throughout the city. Dark alleyways became dangerous places after sunset. Under the dim glow of gas lamps, thieves and criminals waited for victims. Travelers walking alone at night risked robbery or attack. City guards patrolled the streets, but crime remained a constant problem. Then the Industrial Revolution transformed London once again. Factories appeared across the city. Tall chimneys released thick smoke into the air. Machines roared inside crowded factory buildings. Thousands of workers labored long hours under difficult and dangerous conditions. Even children were forced to work. Some operated textile machines inside factories. Others worked underground in coal mines, carrying heavy loads through dark tunnels. Life was harsh for many people living in industrial London. Yet the city continued to expand. London had become the center of a powerful empire, but one final mystery would leave a permanent mark on the city's history. In the year 1888, fear spread through the streets of Whitechapel. A series of brutal crimes shocked the city. A mysterious killer was targeting victims in the dark alleys. Newspapers around the world reported the story. The killer became known by a name that would echo through history: Jack the Ripper. Despite investigations and countless theories, his identity was never discovered. The mystery remains unsolved even today, through fires, disease, crime, and tragedy. London survived. Over centuries, the city continued to rebuild and evolve. Today, London stands as one of the most important cities on Earth. Modern buildings rise above ancient streets. Millions of people walk through places where history once unfolded. But beneath the surface, the past is never truly gone. Hidden tunnels, forgotten structures, and ancient foundations still exist below the city. They remind us that beneath modern London lies a story written across 2,000 years. London is not just a city, it is a living record of history, a place shaped by struggle, resilience, and survival. And even today, its story continues to unfold.